Welcome everyone. This is our fifth session of Healing for the Future. It is a small capsule prepared by Ecoversity's communication to showcase many people around the Alliance who have particular learning paths where they are making bold decisions or actions because they are delving deeply into topics and experiences around ancestrality, deep ecology, intergenerational learning, um, food sovereignty, um, and also some quite queer life trajectories, like the two that we have with us right now. So for this time, we are exploring learning pathways. And when this was coming together, I was asking myself who will be two great guests to have here. So Andre has always been a big influence on me. I know that Dan he had a weird life. The three of us, we collaborate with the Reimagining Education Conference. So I felt I could not go wrong with these two. I will introduce each of them. If you don't know Andrea, Gonzalez, Andino, they are a queer relational artist. They are based in Ecuador. Their teacher is ayahuasca. They also engage in I'm trying to use my memory instead of reading my notes. I like to be that way. Andre engages with issues related with learning and education around communities around the world. They also have this really beautiful project which is called Following Andean Steps, Siguiendo Pasos Andinos, in which they commune with mountains and prepare themselves to have these incredible journeys with earth beings in South America, especially in Ecuador and Peru. They are also a climber, and most importantly, we joked last year that Andrea was the backbone of the Reimagining Education Conference. Anything else that I missed, Andre? Okay. And now with Dan Rudolph, he's based in Montreal or in Toronto? In Montreal. Yeah. He has been a very serious meditator. His interest lies on play-based practices. He had a past life in serious monastic settings. He's also a professional laughter yogi, certified in laughter yoga. And he's the founder of Unified Playfulness, which brings play to adults for the self-development. Is there anything that I missed, Dan, I know that you have practiced clown with Barnaby.
Yeah, I'm learning to become a better cook, cooking more, and a stepfather, and yeah, partner, and son and brother. Yeah, I guess a few other things. Um,
You're an ambitious man. So I wanted to start with this question. We ask this for each of our past guests. And that question is, do mountains play? Uh, you can you can share from your personal experiences or the feelings that arise in you. I know it's an ambitious question, but I trust both of you being the backbone and the head of the Reimagining Education Conference. You have seen it all. So up to you.
Should I go first? Or no? Thank you, Albert, for inviting us and everyone for coming. I like his question. I was thinking to mountains play. Yeah, well, definitely for me, it's a yes. And like being a mountaineer, I go to the mountains. That's part of my life mission. And I think what I was feeling like sensing is that they play with our worldviews. They play with our ideas of time. They play with our ideas of space, of horizons, and they play with something really interesting that it's, for me, that's been like very life-changing is our ideas of what is possible. Like when we see there are like two ways of looking at mountains, like Andinism and Alpinism brought, it's a colonial occidental practice to go to the mountains, but they used to go to conquer the mountains. Like Europeans started to do it. They came to Latin America, for example, they were going to conquer the mountains. And here in the South, indigenous that live near the mountains, they used to talk to the mountains. They used to just ask for advice about the weather or ask for healing of the space or to talk to them because they are apus, like this spirit of the mountain. But when the practice started to be done here, a lot of Andinists, because now it's in the Andes, so we call them Andinists, they started to enter the mountains, but with our own cosmo living, with our own way of looking at it. And then it became this spiritual space where you can see something endless, like there is no end to what we can feel with them. So that, I feel it plays with our conceptions of what it's the end, what is the beginning, what is possible, or awareness of what can we achieve or what we just don't need or what is in ourselves. It just, they play with everything, our thoughts, our laughs, our jokes. I read this quote that it says that mountains mock of language because language is not enough to talk about everything that we can find there. So I definitely, they play with whatever we are as a human being. So yeah, that will be my thing.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, Andre. Yeah, when I thought of this question before the call, the first answer was no. And yeah, I don't know. It seems too human of an idea to put on mountains. I think mountains, mountain, but I agree with Andre, like in relationship to humans, I think the mountains invite us into more play, or they invite us out of our humanness and into more yeah, maybe pure ways of existing. But yeah, the first answer was just like mountains, mountain, and even mountain is a human word. Yeah, I don't know. It's a really beautiful provocation and question. But yeah, the first answer when I just thought of it was like, no, it's too human of an idea to put on mountains. But in that same breath, yeah, yeah, you could say mountains sleep, mountains eat, mountains be, mountain. You know, all the, I think mountains do. If we want to, you know, go on that other direction, I think it could be yes, but it's like a yes and mountains. Yeah, if we want to look at it through that angle, they do everything in a way. But I think, yeah, for me, like my experience of mountains and other, you know, patches of grass or hills or you know, other natural bodies, are they're it's, I think they embody these qualities that we strive for, or I strive for in play. I often use nature metaphors when teaching or describing play as like an ideal to strive for, you know, the balance of masculine and feminine and linear and nonlinear and all these qualities of nature, mountains included, I think can be useful for, you know, becoming more balanced or more playful, you know, for the sake of this context. So yeah, that's the answer that came to me.
Thank you, Dan. Daniela, abrimos un canal de interpretación al español. Hay un icono de un globo en la parte inferior y ahí habrá un canal que diga español y le pones y Jero va a ser nuestro intérprete. Sorpresa. Y
No entendí en dónde, perdóname.
en el menú inferior de Zoom
Sí,
hay un icono con un planeta, con
ah,
una esfera.
sí,
Tienes que picarle
con un planeta.
con un globo, como una esfera. A veces está en los tres puntos suspensivos, en más.
Más configuración de audio. Ah, ya, subtítulos y traducciones. Ver transcripción completa.
Interpretación. ¿No encuentras?
Ya,
Y cambias a español.
a
¿Quieres escuchar
español.
en español?
Sí,
Y Jero,
listo.
si te puedes quitar el mute, estaría perfecto. As Thank you. As we were setting up the interpretation channels because Daniela needed to hear in Spanish. But now we have set that up. Before going further, could you share a little bit more about what you do with mountains, Andre? So that we can get going.
Okay. I am Ecuadorian. I live in Quito, and we have this huge mountain, Ruco Pichincha, that it's right here. I live in the middle of the Andes because Quito is 2008 meters over the level of the sea. So we live in the mountain and in altitude. The Andes are like one of the big mountain chains. The there we have the Andes, the Alps, and the Himalayas as the bigger ones. And I always grew up looking at mountains. Like everyone here in Quito, we are always like saying, like when we are in another city, we are like, where is my mountain? Ah, okay, this is another place. Okay, I think I can live with this. But it's like a conception. If you come to Quito, you'll see it. Like it's the first thing you see. It's right there, everywhere. From everywhere you can see the Ruco Pichincha. And so what I do, like the past 10 years almost, I've been dedicating a lot of my time to alpinism, which we do here. So it's Andinism, and visiting mountains as a way of connecting them. That's my own experience, personal experience, to connecting them and to share message with them. I love the Ubuntu pedagogy that it says everyone can teach, everyone can learn. So I can learn with mountains, and mountains also can learn with me. I'm part of also a mountaineering club that it's been running since it has like 60 years old. So we go there. We have a community of people that loves mountain. We share. We have courses where there's like this idea of being autonomous in the mountains, so don't need to go to pay for a guide to go to the mountains. We have this project that it's called Siguiendo Pasos Andinos, following Andean footsteps, which we are crafting workshops. We are doing, inviting people to go to the mountains, to feel the mountain as part of the one that is facilitating the space, not us. We are only bringing people there, but the mountain is what brings the learning. And yeah, we have this pedagogy of circuits of learnings, and we are working through that, like creating spaces to learn with altitude, with mountains, and with nature in general. That.
Thank you. And Dan, would you like to share about what you do with play? I think it's similar to what Andrea is doing with mountains, allowing mountains to be the container. Tell us about play and what you do in unified playfulness.
Yeah, so specifically supporting adults to integrate more play into their life. Yeah, really, I see in a lot of places the seriousness and like the grind and the busyness of being in this world. And kids, yeah, I notice it less, especially, the younger they are. There's a natural inclination towards play. And I've noticed in my life, as people get older, at times they play less, or play changes and becomes more, like less, more self-conscious. Maybe there's more self-consciousness in the play, or there's more seriousness, or like if you play sports, it's a form of play, but it's more competitive, and that's part of play. That's one quality of play, but it's really, I think, inviting people into different forms of play that invite them outside of their normal ways of being, or their habitual patterns, or ordinary ways of speaking, so using gibberish, or speaking in different, higher tone, like, oh, hello, nice to see you again, or talking to books, or dancing with plants, or looking closely at their hands, so inviting people into play, and play for me is very connected to mindfulness, and to that form of presence, and similar to being in nature, to hiking a mountain to that level of presence. And it's just another way of approaching that state of being. So really for me and what I offer, it's supporting people to access that state of mind, which play I found can be a really good conduit for getting people out of their heads and into deeper connection with other people, into deeper connection with themselves, into deeper connection with nature. So yeah, it's really inviting that, and it shows up in many different ways. And yeah, one way is every Monday I host a play break, which Vishwa, who's here, Sound World, often comes to, and Sierra's been to. And it's just a way to break the rhythm of work and the work week, and to come and enter into a different way of being and interacting. And to also like use that state of mind to see life, of like, how can I wash the dishes in a state of play? Or how can I, walk to the metro and incorporate a playful mindset? So a big focus for me is life integration, and yeah, for me, like applying it in my own life, and then in what I offer, inviting people into that sort of way of reflecting and practicing and being in the world. Yeah, so that's a bit of that. Yeah.
Thank you, Dan. It was a lot, because play is everywhere and mountains are everywhere too. So when you open your awareness to all these possibilities, you get lost in the world. And I do feel that in these spaces, the reason why we come here is because of the stories that people carry with them. It is the stories of the people and their voices where we find the most hope in just engaging with another human being or earth being. And this question, the next question, arises from that, from the power of story. And I wondered if each of you could share with us from your heart really a personal story of your life, of your learning journey that doesn't take 10 years, but might take up 20 years or 30 years, right? Some people say that our lives are an open question. So I'm sure that each of you on your own way have met that threshold, or as what you were saying, then an access point or an starting point of may just give it a try, right? So share what you liked. It can be related with mountains or play or something that really impacted you and shifted the way that you engage the world or care towards other beings. Big question, but we are engaging with mountains here, so big things are welcome. I leave it to you.
Start with the flow. I have so many stories, but maybe I can share one that when I was little, so like I was saying, I've lived always with the mountains here, and they are like big mountains. And I remember when I was around 6, or 5 maybe, my father took me to one, like the one that it's in front. But I mean, I don't know, I feel like our mountains are very steep since the beginning. So it's not that easy to walk on them physically. Like logistically, it's easy. It's like from where I am is 20 minutes to start to walk the mountain. But it's very steep. It's like in 5 kilometers, you can walk like 1,000 meters. So it's very steep. And I didn't know what was happening. I was walking, I was 6 years old, and I was like, I can't walk. What is happening? Like, I can't. And I remember my father was like carrying me with his hand. I was like almost dying. Like I felt like I can't breathe. What's going on? What's this? And like when we are little, I mean, when I was a child, I didn't know that we could walk like this, like flat, or we could go up. That wasn't in my awareness. So for me, it was, I can't do this. This is terrible. I was like crying. Then my father had to carry me around, and I was, I hate this. When I was 11, I went to this camp, like was a mountain camp that we have here. This place called Aire Libre. It's the name of free air. This guy holds this camp, like mountaineer camp, where you are there for 27 days. And when I was 11, I went there, and I couldn't do anything either. I was like, I can't do this. Then since I was 11, I could do a bit more. And then after, I remember on day 20, I climbed my first mountain, but I was almost like, ah. And I felt like at my 11, I felt, wow, I can do this. Like there was something in me that I remember the awareness of saying, I can breathe. Like this is hard. I can do this. And then like 10 years ago that I went to this club and I started to go on my own, because normally to go to the mountains, you need a guide or someone that kind of knows something. And I used to, like every year we went to a mountain or two with someone that could take us. But like 10 years ago, I started to go to the club, and I am now able to go by my own to the mountains. So that's like, yay, I can do it. I can bring people with me. And the first time I went alone and I climbed this mountain that it's right in front of here, the city. And it's this mountain height is 4,700 meters, and we start at 2,800 meters. So you just walk up. And then I went all the way up. I went even for the hard part. It's a rock climbing part and things. And when I arrived to the top, I was alone, and I felt all the time that I was carrying my little self, like my 6-year-old self with me. And it was like a very, very important experience for me. It was like only one day to climb a mountain, but it's been a mountain that I've been several times in my life, and now I'm able to bring my little one with me. And so I arrived to the summit, and it was like, oof, like a relief for me, for myself, of autonomy, of being able to carry myself to this place, which is hard physically, but it's not that hard. And then also like breathing and the air, the mountain. And also I felt like I was carrying that little one, but the mountain was kind of welcoming me, like saying, this is what you are here for. Like today, that's the intention you're working on, like yourself, your autonomy, your own possibility of carrying yourself around, which is like the gift that I worked that day. And I feel like there are so many stories, because every time a mountain has, for me, the possibility of taking away like my own thoughts, of not being able to do it, of being too weak, of not being like this, like all of this that society puts on my head on not having the time or not believing in myself or things like that. So the mountain, it just takes that out. It's like, nah, that doesn't matter. You just keep going. So yeah, that's something I feel like it brings. So every time I bring an intention and that intention arrives, is something sometimes that I need to work on, or is something that it just shows in front of me. And then I go with the mountain, and that mountain kind of organizes my thoughts and everything. So yeah, that's a story. Thank you for listening.
Well, thank you for sharing. Yeah, that's so beautiful. Yeah, I had an initial story that popped in when you asked Albert, and then another one that came in hearing Andre. But the first one was that popped in mind was in India at Swaraj University at the in-person Reimagining Education Conference. Manish Jain, who runs that, invited us to just go and sit in a spot in nature and just to look at one spot for 5 minutes straight. So just be there and look. And I remember just how profound that was, how simple it was, just sitting there. And it's like, I think I looked at like a patch of bush, trees and, whatever, grass. And there was just so much happening there. It was like the ants and the trees moving and the little, the leaves that had diseases that were like had holes in them, and just that way of seeing was just like, wow. And then each little object that often when I'm just walking by, it's just like, I don't even notice it. But in looking closer, everything was just like, wow, like, oh my gosh. And then looking closer at each object, it kept going, like the patterns on the leaves and the details of the ant and just how round their little bodies were and how many little feet they had. And so yeah, that was one story that came to mind and connects for me to play and mindfulness, and reminds me of those Tibetan Buddhist paintings that have so much detail. And if you look at it, just the painting as a whole, you see it. But then when you look closer, you see like in that little detail, there's like 1,000 eyes looking at you. And then you look in one of those eyes and there's like another little Buddha in the eyes. And it just goes on and on and on and on and on. And it's just like, wow. And I think similar to mountains too, you see it from afar and it's like something, and then you get closer and it becomes much more intimate. And same for play, like again, like just looking at our hands, and maybe we could do this together if you want, of just looking at your hand for like 30 seconds and just noticing all the lines and colors and yeah, just how incredible it is. And even say wow if you feel inspired by anything. Wow. Yeah. So I think just appreciating, yeah, that experience of looking at the patch of grass is just like, wow. It's just like how incredible it is to be alive, which, with all the suffering and tragedy and, hard stuff in the world, it's easy to, yeah, forget that for me. And sometimes these moments are just like balancing of that, of just like, wow. And it's incredibly miraculous. So yeah, that story has, yeah, really changed my perspective and opened me up to seeing more deeply. And then the other story, which I'll say quick, is juggling. So another thing, juggling just really taught me the power of overcoming that feeling of impossibility And starting a new juggling trick was often like, this is crazy, I can't do this, no way. And failing 9/10 out of 10, just like 90% failure, just trying and failing, trying and failing. And with some tricks, it was like a matter of hours to where something shifted from feeling viscerally and psychologically impossible to me being able to do it. And then to, after that, being able to do it without even thinking. And so that juggling has been such a teacher, and constantly, after you learn something, then you move to the next thing and you reach that point of impossibility again. And then sometimes you just, stay there. But, in learning, it's that, this is impossible and then I can do it. This is impossible and then I can do it. And with juggling, it was very tangible. Whereas in that supported me a lot in meditation, where it's not as tangible, where some of the assignments or practices that the teacher would offer would be like mind bending, like what, no, how, and then months later you're doing it and you're on to the next thing. So I think that that learning or overcoming obstacles or challenges, and yeah, I think that has also really supported me in my learning journey and in my like sense of like, I can do it. I can do it. And sometimes I can't do it. So it's humbling at the same time. There's some tricks, like I tried to juggle 5 balls and just failed for like 4 months and still haven't. I just kind of paused learning it. So yeah, also the humility that comes through failure. Juggling is invited. Yeah.
Anything you wanna add, Andre?
Only that the resonance with the possibilities and the impossible, like the game of words. Actually, Hero, that it's translating, he worked his PhD thesis on mountaineering in the Andes in Ecuador, and one of his chapters is about impossibilities, like the impossibilities, like what starts with an idea of impossible, and then if you start to walk on it, it becomes possible, and how we transform that. And I feel that resonates a lot, like the pedagogy that we are building is related to circuits of learning and how we, each of us, can start their way to what's possible. And that's a huge lesson also from rock climbing or from mountaineering. Something looks completely impossible. Like it's like, no way. You say like that because we are told to, if something is hard or it's something looks weird, we are taught, no, I can't. No, it's easy, right? But if you say, okay, that looks hard, let's see. And then you start to walk, and then you start to walk, and then you see, wow, how even our way of looking at things, it's trying to trickster on us. I don't know, it's trying to tell us that you won't be able to do it. Like even our way of looking at what we see in front of us is built in some kind of lenses that are limited. And even going through that without judging, I mean, I have to tell that to myself, because when I am also doing like rock climbing, I find something so impossible and everyone is like, keep doing it. Like you'll try it for like 100 times maybe, and maybe one day you'll do it. And I just trust the process. And okay, I'll have the patience to do it. And so I like this type of things that takes us out of our possibilities to the impossible. Like we start a path to walk what's impossible, and quote unquote. That little.
Thank you, Andre. For the last section, would you like Dan to guide us into some play to move our bodies?
Yeah. If people want that, do people want to move your bodies and play? Yeah. Okay.
I will stop recording so that you can go all out.
Okay.
Thank you, Dan. So I think we are closing. I wanted to ask and what you got going on in your lives. Where can we find you? What are you playing? Some info about the Reimagining Education Conference. Anything that you might want to share?
I can. So I have this project, Siguiendo Pasos Andinos, which you can follow on Instagram. I'll put it in a minute. And yeah, we're doing like things locally, trying to be less online, but a bit sometimes. And yeah, if you want to come to Ecuador, you're welcome. We can organize something nice to bring you to high altitude training and learning. And also about the conference, maybe I can say something. If you're okay. Yeah. So we are organizing the next conference. This is the Reimagining Education Conference, which we've been a group of us that we are here, some of us, Sierra, Dan, Albert. We've been organizing this Reimagining Education Conference the past 4 years, and this will be our last conference in March. So it will be our 5th conference, and we'll bring like the whole thing. We'll play with everything that we have. So to make it special, so be connected to the Reimagining Education chat, or you can follow Ecoversities also on Instagram, so we will inform everything there. And yeah. Thank you, Albert.
Yay, Andrea. And yes, I want to come to Ecuador. Yeah, hope to come in this year, next year.
Did I hear it was going to be the last conference?
Huh? What did you say, Vishwa?
Was the 5th one maybe the last one? Something
Yeah. Potentially, that's what we decided like a couple weeks ago. But we'll see. Yeah, that's currently. I just put in the chat about unified playfulness. Like I mentioned, every Monday we do a play break. Next Monday it won't happen. I'll be in the forest. But usually every Monday from 11 to 11:45 EST, there's just a play break. So you can just come, there's check-in, not chicken, check-in, like a time to check in and then play and then check out and kind of choose like something you want to experiment with in your life. And then, yeah, so the goal is for Monday to kind of set the tone for the week and then for you to experiment and try things in your life and then to, share back how it went. So I put a link there to the play breaks. Yeah, I think that's one way. And then I can put my email in the chat if anybody wants to follow up about anything. Yeah, so that's there as well. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Sierra.
Yeah. Thank you, both of you. I'm not sure if should we do it then. So there is another section of this call. Is that today is Dan's birthday. He's now 38. So we wanted to sing for him.
Woohoo! Happy birthday, Dan!
Oh, thank you.
35, not
35,
or 36.
36.
Between 35 and 38.
Oh, you're not 38?
No one knows anymore.
38.
Oh.
Yeah.
You look the same age. So happy birthday.
Thank you. 33.
Do you have any wishes for this year?
Yes. I can't tell you though. Or else it won't happen.
Who told you that?
It's
You
true.
can play with it.
Yeah, maybe I'll invite
You
us
can
all
ask
to
the
wish
opposite
one
of it.
thing. On behalf of my birthday, I invite us all to wish for one thing this year that each of us wants in our lives or in the world. And just to bring it to mind. This is a birthday gift for me, your wish.
Speaking about bringing things into the world, next week on Friday we have a pilot or an episode 0 of a sister conference to the Reimagining Education one, which is called Ecoversity's Aviala Cycle of Dialogues. We are going to invite people from Latin America to share their Cosmo livings, their experiences, their gifts. We are going to have the presence of Maria Graciada, an indigenous elder from Brazil. Gabold, he's a storyteller, runner of the Peace and Dignity Journeys, a race that goes from Alaska and Patagonia, and they met in the center. It is an indigenous race that happens every 4 years. Another unconfirmed guest, but we are trying to bring the energy of running the territory and making a space where people can enter into conversation. And we are holding this conference to help support the scholarships for the people who are attending the Latin American gathering this year in Chile. So the eagle and the condor, they can fly together. That's the main intention. It's happening next Friday. I will add the links on our usual communication channels. We are still preparing it. You're all welcome. Thank you for coming here, and see you soon. The next healing for the future session still is not confirmed, but it will happen. And thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you.